Are you ready to make the world of music terms for the elements of music exciting for your students? Hi, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and I'm a music teacher with over 20 years of experience in the grades 7 to 12 music classroom. In this video, we'll explore 5 simple music classroom activities that will transform the way you teach music terms, from interactive worksheets to engaging bingo games, and even some creative term art activities. We've got it all covered, so let's get started. Teaching terms made easy, 5 simple classroom activities to try. And I think there's actually a couple more than 5. Maybe I can't count. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. So just briefly before we get started, these are the 5 things we're going to go through today. So teaching terms with worksheets. There's nothing wrong with that. Teaching terms with bingo games. Some memory card games to play. Some music art activities. As I said, I've got 4 of those, and they're keeping also a music term diary, which is something you might want to try. So hi, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and my mission is to help you Hi, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and my mission is to help busy music teachers like you in classrooms around the world with the resources that you need to teach music appreciation to inspire the next generation of musicians. And before we get started, if you'd like a freebie, if you're thinking about changing up what you're doing in your classroom, go to that julia.com/makeover your music curriculum. And in that download, you'll get 5 ideas of ways that you can actually change things up in your music classroom and make it more relevant to your kids if you're looking for some new ideas. So as music educators, you understand the power of music, its ability to inspire, as well as the profound impact it can have on your students. But to truly appreciate and understand music, your students must also grasp the language of music. Understanding the music terms and music vocabulary that form the foundation of this beautiful art form is essential for every music student. And if you've been watching videos here on this channel, you know that the one thing I think of and the main foundation for what I do is that music terminology. If you have the music terminology, you have kids who are successful as performers, as composers, as music appreciators, and kids who can actually write about music in terms of their listening and analysis experience. So my personal journey, ignore the train, in education has been an exciting one. As I said, I've been teaching for over 20 years now, and it's been filled with moments of both challenge and joy for over the course of first learning. As music educators, you understand the power of music and its ability to inspire, as well as the profound impact it can have on your students. But to truly appreciate and understand music, your music students must also grasp the language of music. Understanding the music terms and music vocabulary that form the foundation of this beautiful art form is essential for every music student. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that this is what I'm all about. It's about making sure that your students have a really solid foundation and understanding of those music terminologies, music terms, and music vocabulary for the elements of music. And once they have that, they become better musicians. They become better appreciators of music. They become more critically analytical about the music, and they become better composers. And as a musician, that's what we want. So my personal journey, though, in music education has been an exciting one, at times, filled with moments of both challenge and joy over the course of first learning an instrument at the age of 7. So my first instrument that I started learning with was the guitar, and I was learning from a neighbour at first, and then my parents got me some lessons. And I was very lucky. I started learning chords, and then I actually went on to do classical guitar, and then became a singer many more years later. And then went on to become a music educator because I love it so much. But one of the challenges that I encountered very early in my career, and it's funny, I can still remember this young man, and I think I've talked about him quite a bit. But the strange thing is, I'll do a little aside. I'm currently going to a gym where we do boot camps and personal training, because just needed something to get this old body moving. And it was really lovely that this particular young man I'm referring to, his partner, which is now his wife, they were actually boyfriend, girlfriend when I taught him, but I remember when he was in year 10, and he actually made me really rethink about how I taught. And because he challenged me, because he was so gifted at what he, as a musician, that he challenged me with what I was teaching in the classroom. And I can't thank him enough. But it's a small world. As I said, I run into his wife quite often at boot camp, and it's lovely to see the full circle. And I think as a high school teacher, you get to see those probably that full circle a little bit quicker than you do if you're teaching younger years. Anyway, that was a side note. Let's keep going. Anyway, as I said, one of the challenges I encountered very early in my career was how to effectively teach music terms in a way that my students not only understood them, but also could apply them. And that's the key, apply them in their own musical journey, both in and out of the classroom. And that's why I'm here to help you, so you don't have to spend hours of trial and error, because this young man forced me to really rethink how I was doing things, trying to figure out what music term teaching strategies work best. So in this blog post or this video, I'll show the importance of teaching music terms and offer you 5 simple classroom activities that will make this teaching task a breeze. And these are all things I use in my classroom. I'm not showing you anything that I have never used. Okay, this is all stuff that I use in my classroom and that my kids enjoy. And as I said, I teach grades 7 to 12, so it could be used in younger classrooms and maybe even beyond. But why is it important? Why do we teach music terms? So music terms, especially those that define the 8 elements of music, are the building blocks of musical communication. Just as your students need words to express thoughts and ideas, musicians rely on a common set of music terms to convey musical concepts and instructions. Teaching these music terms is vital because it empowers music students to understand and appreciate all music on a deeper level. Another benefit of a strong musical vocabulary is that it enhances your music students' musical literacy, allowing them to read, comprehend, and analyze music compositions. Knowing and having a thorough understanding of musical terminology provides them with the tools to express their musical ideas effectively and collaborate with others within a musical ensemble, whether that be in the classroom or beyond. So, the easiest way to start is with worksheets. And honestly, the easiest way to start is getting your kids to write it down. Write down a term, explain it, and then get them to do something with it. So how you want to do that is up to you, but I'm giving you a few different ideas of how to do that. But the first thing is you've got to teach them the actual term. You can't actually just assume they know it. So these are the different things that I've used and developed because I needed them in my own classroom. So to make teaching music terms easier and more engaging, this versatile resource, which is the Elements of Music Terms and Definitions Worksheets bundle, available on TPT, is here to help. So this bundle includes 203 music terms with definitions that covers each of the 8 elements of music. And these are 203, I know it's a weird number, okay, but I didn't really want to say over 200 because people think it's a lot more. The thing is, these are the main terminology that most kids need at this age group, grades 7 to 12, for music appreciation. Is there more terms to learn? Definitely. Is there a lot less they could learn? Definitely. But that's up to you which ones you choose. But these are the ones that I know that my kids use regularly, and I've found success with teaching them these ones because it helps them become that better musician. So in this bundle, and I've talked about this one in other videos and other blog posts, but the thing is, yeah, you teach the term. So on there, you can see there's the bundle. Now that's actually showing all of the 1 pages, but there's a stack of different things in there. And look, I love doing these in class. They're really nice, simple lessons. And the kids enjoy sometimes just that downtime. And I said, I use those particular 1 pages more with my grade 9 and 10 students than my juniors, which are 7s and 8s. And I don't necessarily do it this way with my seniors because hopefully we've already covered this, but not always, because not always the students are there. So as you can see, there's a 1 pager, there's your finder words and the code breakers. Now those code breakers and the finder words, I find that I use those more with my juniors, year 7s and 8s. Okay. And the code breakers, especially the year 7s, love them. They love them. And it's really interesting watching them. They just love them. But I put them together in a big booklet and give them something to do that way because they find it much easier to actually it's quiet time sort of activities. So if you've got one of those lessons, you've got a lesson and maybe they've done some sort of crazy lesson in science before they've seen you, and where they've been all hyped up and whatever else, and you need to bring them down a bit. Okay, sometimes just a lesson starter with these sorts of activities, great, but it's also reinforcing it. So you've taught the term, but you're giving them different activities and different things to do with the terms. So there's a wide variety of worksheets in this bundle, as said. So there's the terms with definitions. So you get a page with, or pages, depending on how many definitions and terms are in each one, for each element. And so that's your starting point, okay? Then you get the one-pager ones, which is the one that's got the different colors, the one where the kids can write the definition into and color it if they want to. Okay, there's the Unscramble the Word worksheets, which are fantastic for your lower literacy kids. The alphabetical order, same sort of deal. Code breakers, they love them. The finder words and the definition matchups. Now, for my senior students, my older students, 9s and 10s, I do the one-pagers and I do the definition workshop, the matchups, because that's really good way to check it. My junior students, I tend to do the Unscramble, the alphabetical order, the finder words, and the code breakers. That seems to work better. But again, your students are different. You choose what works better for you. So these worksheets serve various purposes, from reinforcing music vocabulary and whole class instruction to homework assignments and activities for early finishers. So it's up to you, and again, how you actually want to use these, but they're so flexible in delivery that, you know, there are worksheets that are easily done independently. There's not a lot of instruction from you is needed. You can even use them for distance learning, those of us who might still have to do that, and homeschooling. The diverse range of activities makes it easier to cater for different learning styles and preferences. And again, because I give my kids a variety of different activities to do, I don't mind which one they choose to do first. It's up to them, and it keeps them happy, because again, when you give your kids a bit of choice, they actually love knowing that they've got a bit of choice in what they get to complete and in what order, because there's really it doesn't worry me which one they do, as long as they're doing something that's musical. Okay, music games. Now, you've taught your terms. Okay, your kids are familiar with all of the actual terminology, and you want to reinforce that terminology. All right, this is where games come into play, but you have to have taught the terms first, have to have taught them first. So, but teaching music terms doesn't have to be limited to worksheets, doesn't. Injecting fun and interactivity into your lessons with music games can really help cement the music terms that you are studying with your students. 2 games in particular are fantastic for making learning enjoyable. And these are ones that, again, I use all the time, and my kids. And again, I use these activities even with my year 11 and 12 students, because sometimes you just need a fun lesson. And again, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as they're engaging with that terminology and it's helping them to remember what those words are and becoming more familiar with them. So, first one, bingo. And I seriously, my year 11 and 12s, if we have, depending on my timetable, but sometimes you have them last lesson on a Friday, or last lesson on a Wednesday. It might be a hot day or a really cold day or a yucky day, or what, it doesn't really matter what day. But sometimes they just need a bit of a chill. And it's like, okay, we're going to play bingo today. And tell you what, they go, oh, yes, please. Can we keep playing? And it's like, okay, yes, sure. But again, it's that terminology. And when I'm doing this with my senior kids, as I say use the caller card, all right, I will give them I'll call out the caller card, say it's melody, but I will then say the definition, all right? Or I might ask a student what the definition is. So they're just hearing it all the time. They're hearing all those terms all the time, and you're just reinforcing that learning that you've already done. You're reinforcing that music terminology. So bingo is a classic game that kids love. And it's also an excellent tool for teaching music terms. You can try to create bingo cards with musical terms and definitions, and call out the definitions for your students to mark on their cards. It's a dynamic and engaging way to reinforce the understanding of music terms. Or if you want to save yourself some time and energy, you could get the bingo bundle, which I haven't long created this particular one. I had to do an update. So this bundle includes all the music terms that are included in that definitions bundle that you just saw with the worksheets. So they all reinforce each other, okay, and making it a perfect addition to your classroom. Now, the thing is with these ones, it's up to you whether you print them full page, okay. I call it A3, so full page, or you can print 2 to a page so that you've got smaller sets. It doesn't really matter. And I use for the counters, often I've got buttons. The kids really like the buttons for some reason. They fight over which ones that they want, or certain colors. Over the years, I've used all sorts of things, but it's just a matter of what I could get my hands on. But the kids really like playing it. And it's just once you've got them set up and you've got those sets, and you really only need one of each set, okay, with the bingo cards, because there's 30 cards in each one, and then you got your caller cards. But you only need one set, so because you can only play it once at a time, and then you just keep going and you just shuffle the cards and go. Anyway, it's the best thing is that using these bingo games is great for everybody. You get to have a lot of a bit more of a relaxing lesson. Your students are having fun and they don't even realize they are learning the music terms along the way. It's a win-win for everybody. Okay, win-win. So again, here's what they look like. Now, some of these bingo cards, as you can see, have a lot more the grid is more full than others. So for example, the dynamics bingo one, there's not many on it. I think there's only 16 because there's not as many terms to know for dynamics. Whereas for melody and rhythm and some of the other concepts, there's a lot more terms to actually draw from. So each card is different. Every single card is different, and it's up to you. Now, I like to print mine on colored paper. And if you're anything like me, my melody sets are in pink, my dynamics are in red, my rhythm are in orange. So I know which set I'm looking for. Okay, it's up to you, but print it onto colored paper. The kids really love it. All right, the second one is memory. Now, I know I've talked about these cards a lot. Okay, but again, it's because I use them. I really do love these things. And here's the cards I'm talking about. So these ones are ready for laminating. Oops, I should do it that way. There's tempo on that side, and on the other side is the definition. So it's actually folded piece of paper. Now, you can either, to do memory though, you actually cut those in half and you actually have a term and a definition separately. So these are different. This is set up for something different, but that's the beauty about these cards. You set them up two different ways and you've got so many different games you can do. So, but memory is a simple game card that never gets old. And again, I do this again with my year 11 and 12, my 9s, 10s, 11s and 12s. They really enjoy it because again, it's that reinforcing of let's do the term, let's get the memory, the definition, make sure that they're actually they understand that thing. Again, just another way to approach it. So in this music theme version, students use the elements of music memory cards to play the game. It's an interactive and memorable way to learn music vocab. Memory is a simple yet engaging game that challenges players' memory and concentration skills as they try to remember the locations and match in the cards. Now, I'm just recalling a lesson I had last year, and I had in my year 12 class, and there was quite a few away for whatever reason. I said, okay, we're going to play a game of memory. And so we got the cards out, put them all out. And for them, I've actually got a set that's massive. Like it's just all one color and it's every single term. So you can imagine how big the space is that we need to do it. And it does take a whole lesson to play. But the beautiful thing was had some beautiful students there. And one of my other students, one of my music students was a life skills student. And she was actually legally deaf. Okay, she could hear, but very limited. And she struggled with the game, but my other beautiful kids in the class, they just literally helped her along it. It was just such a lovely way to spend the lesson, and and sometimes it's just really nice to have kids be kind to one another. Why not? Anyway, that's me on another tangent, sorry. But this is what they look like. So as I said, when you print them, you can see that like on the page there, it says the games bundle, and you can see the dynamics, fortissimo, and structure form. Okay, so you can see there that it's got the term at the top and the definition underneath. Okay, and so it's up to you whether you print it, when you print it, how you cut them out. So do you cut them out so that there's the term on one side and the definition on the other, or you cut them out completely separate, and then you can actually do that. Now, one trick though, if you are going to play memory with these, don't use thin paper because you can actually see through it. And I said, it takes a while to set up, but once you've set it up, you've got them for years. My last set, I've actually just given away a stack because at the end of last year, I did a big clean out, and we had 2 young pracky teachers, pre-service teachers. And so I actually gave them my sets that I'd had since the young man that I was talking about earlier in this video, that I'd had since then. And that young man finished high school in 2011, because he's older than my daughter. He was a year above. She was at the same school. So I'd had them since then. They'd lasted 12, 13 years, and they were still fine, still perfect. So, they're going to last another 12, but yeah. So it does take a while to set it up. but set them up, do yourself a favor, do your future self a favor, set them up and have them for years. They're teaching tools for years. But as I said, there's the bundle, and as I said, you get all of the, in the bundle, you get all of the 8 elements of music, all the cards for it, so many different ways. And I've got other ways to do that, but I'm going to keep it short and sweet here, sort of. Sorry. Anyway, instructions, if in case you haven't played memory before. The goal of memory card game is to find matching pairs of cards. Okay, so what you'll need is a set of the music term memory cards from the Elements of Music memory game bundle, okay, or one of the sets. What you need to do is shuffle the deck of cards. So shuffle, 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 shuffle. Okay, and then place all the cards face down. So all of the terms and the definitions are upside down. You can't see them. And that's why you need thicker paper. Okay, and just put them out in a grid. Okay. First player flips over any 2 cards. Doesn't matter. The music term and the definition memory cards are left facing up for all players to see. If the 2 cards match, which is unlikely in the first part, okay, there is a music term and a matching definition. Player A collects the pair of matching cards and keeps them. If the 2 cards don't match, they flip them back over, okay, and then it's the next player's turn to have a go. And again, you repeat the process until you get matching pairs. And so the idea is that the students remember that, okay, here was the word melody, and over here was the definition, and they've got to remember to flip them over and do that. So players take turns until all the cards have been matched and collected. At the end of the game, the person that, just said you keep going, that the person with the most pairs of cards is the winner. Nice, simple game. Lovely to set it up. It's great for group work in the music classroom. Again, it's just something nice to have kids do sometimes. Just some nice, just have a bit of fun. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and they're learning, as I said. It's a win-win for everybody. All right, music term teaching strategy 1. Okay, so now I've got a few different ways to teach music terms. Okay, so you've taught your terms, but and you've had a bit of fun, but sometimes you need a bit of reinforcement, or you might prefer to actually do these activities before you do those other ones. So anyway, invite your students to create stories using music terms. This is a funny one. So each term can represent a character or element in their stories. This exercise not only reinforces their understanding of terms, but also encourages their creativity. Now, if you want, you get those, that there's that little story where they use the musical symbols, like he had a flat tire. There's that little story that has he was in treble, as in, trouble. You could do that. But once students have created their story, have them read out or act the story for the rest of the class. You could try using the music memory cards for this game. Simply hand out a set of the cards you want your students to focus on and let them create their story. So you might give them, okay, so it's maybe they ended up with tempo, accelerando, pizzicato, and dynamics. Say they ended up with those ones. And then they've got to come up with a story. So the story might be something like, and I'm just doing this on the fly, my dynamics music teacher was presenting her lesson at a fast tempo, and in fact she was accelerandoing, which isn't really a word. The lesson got so fast that I had to pizzicato my brain. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be anything set. Like, the sillier, the better, actually. The sillier, the better. And again, it's just getting the kids involved in actually engaging with the terms. Fun little activity to do. Should only take 10 minutes to actually give them a bit of time to do that. 10 minutes, give them different terms each, and everyone comes up with a different story. So, and it's a good way for you to check to see if they've actually got a bit of an understanding of the actual term. All right, number 2. So I said it's not really 5 because I'm giving you 4 in one. Right. Musical term art. So there's a few different ways to do this one, but have your students illustrate the music terms. Now, when I was showing you the 1 pages, I like to encourage my kids to actually draw something in that space that helps them remember the term. But there's a few different ways we can do this. So have your students illustrate music terms. When they draw or paint the meaning of a term, it helps them visualize and internalize the concept. It actually helps them remember, because again, it depends on your learners. Some are, auditory, some are visual, some are kinesthetic. It gives them different things. And that's why playing games and doing things, give them lots of different opportunities to do this. For this, you can use quite a few different activities. The ones that my students have found success with are listed on the next few slides. So let's show you. I'll show you this one. So this is one I use a lot. I tend to use this in an exercise book. And when I say exercise book, sorry, trying to find one here. My kids tend to have books that look like this, because that's what, I mean, I literally got this from Kmart in Australia here. Oh, it's upside down, Australia. It's very pretty, isn't it? But they tend to have books that look like this, okay? Or they have small ones, again, that look like this, okay? You can see that's actually a pack. I often pick up cheap books, sets of books, so that, any kid that hasn't got one, I just give them one. But that's the sort of size book I have. And I get the kids to actually fold the page into three columns, or even 4. It's easier. Some of them struggle to do 3. And get them to do in the column word, write the definition, and then draw a little image. Rule off however big a space they need, and they keep going. Okay, so it's really, really simple. Again, the word could be, as you can see, word is apple, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, you'd use music one, but that's just an example. Hymn strategy is another good one, but this one, again, 4 columns is actually easier. I know this is a graphic, and I'll show you, like, this is because this is a Google Slides version, but 4 columns. Keyword, okay, information, which would be your definition. A memory clue might be something to help them remember, because I'll often, when I'm teaching music terms, I'll always give them a listening example, or I'll show them an example by playing an instrument and showing them what that might sound like. And then memory clue could be, say if you're doing ternary, it could be twinkle, twinkle, little star, because that's in a very small ternary form. And then statement or sentence could be, write that song. I will remember the musical form of ternary because blah, blah, blah. Up to you how you want to do this. But it's, again, you could do it, print them out and have worksheets, not a problem, you can. But that's an awful lot of printing, because there's an awful lot of terms to do, okay? New word is another good one. Kids will struggle with this, so I wouldn't do this with my juniors or kids who had low literacy levels. It would be good to do it as a class together, but not independently. They'd find that some of them would struggle. But again, new word is just your term, okay? Definition, obviously your definition. Draw a little image. Your synonym is a similar word. An antonym is an opposite. Context would be maybe the element of music it goes into, and sentence or question. So if I give a demonstration with this, new word could be fortissimo, okay? Fortissimo. Definition, very, very, very loud. Image, it could be the 2 Fs, all right? Or it could be someone shouting, or whatever it happens to be. Synonym could be forte, or even fortissimo, because it's similar, because they're loud, okay? Antonym, though, would be pianissimo. Context would be the element of music of dynamics, and sentence or question could be, what does fortissimo mean, or what piece of music do I know that uses fortissimo? Okay, or I am playing a piece of music by blah, 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 and it uses the dynamic marking of fortissimo in the 3rd section. Okay, it's up to you how you want to do this. And this one doesn't fit nicely for everything, because sometimes it is very hard. It's really great for dynamics, but it's really hard to do the synonym, antonym for some of these kids. But you're more your kids who are of a higher ability, maybe challenge them, give them that challenge and see how they go with it. All right, and concept of definition map, I do like this one. I use this one a lot myself. For this one, students complete the following each one. So category, which is the element of music. Okay, so give you, again, your word. So say again, I'll use fortissimo. The word is fortissimo. The category to which it belongs to is the element of music. So that would be dynamics, properties or characteristics. You could do the signs. You could do the definition there, okay? And then examples. Again, you could have pieces of music that use fortissimo or have a fortissimo section, and again, an image to help them remember. And that's, again, very something personal for the kids. But again, it helps them remember. Okay. 3rd one, is a music term diary. Now, this is something that is much better for your older students, your 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s. Encourage your students to maintain a music term diary where they keep a record of the music terms they learn and their meanings. The music term diary that will then become a handy reference and review for when for all things that they continue to do as they go through their course. If you could have your students create their own music term glossary by writing the music terms and definitions into a writing composition book. Okay, so a book, exercise book was what I call it. Okay, or a digital one. Now, if it's up to you, but I would suggest if you're going to do this, choose one of these actual ways to do it, so that the kids know that every time you do a new term, they have to do this particular activity. So you choose one, and it might seem a bit boring at times, but the kids will get used to it, and that they will like that familiarity and that the way that it'll just work. It's just much easier if you do it that way. If you want to do a digital one, which is a really nice way to do it, okay, is I've got sorry, I'm having a mental blank. The monitoring graphic organizers for the reading comprehension resource. Now, in that particular one, I've just redone that as of time of recording. Okay, so I did it literally like 2 weeks ago. This one in the version, so if you've bought the Reading Super 6 or the Reading Comprehension Bundle, Graphic Organizer Bundle, go and have a look because I've updated the whole thing. But they are fantastic because I've given you like three different versions. But the thing is that makes mine very different is I literally give you ones for music, for performance, for looking at an artwork, things that are geared towards the creative and performing arts. Okay, because I know as a music teacher, my text is not necessarily something that's written. It could be something I'm listening to, it could be something I'm watching, it could be anything. Okay, so as a music teacher, that's what I'm talking about. But the Google Slides one, it's a nice way to actually do it because you could literally get your kids to do a digital version, so you're not actually printing paper. Again, it's just that routine, how you want to set it up, and depending on what technology you have available in your own music classroom. So this is what they look like. And so there's look, cover, right, check, all those sorts of things. But you also get a printable version. You get 2 printable versions. One that's exactly the same as the Google Slides one, and also the other one is my original one that I used a few years ago, which is actually in portrait format as opposed to landscape. So teaching music terms doesn't have to be a daunting task. It doesn't, okay? By understanding the importance of a strong musical vocabulary and utilizing resources like the Elements of Music, Terms and Definition and Worksheets bundle, or any of the other things I've showed you, you can provide your music students with the tools they need to excel in music. When you incorporate fun and interactive activities like musical games, storytelling, and creative art projects, you'll make learning music terms an enjoyable experience for your students. As music educators, we have the power and privilege to spark a lifelong love for music and equip our students with the musical vocabulary they need to express themselves in this beautiful world of sound. So just to recap, I gave you, it says 5, but it was actually a few more because there was 4 different art activities there. So teaching terms with worksheets, can't beat them. I know it's old school, but sometimes you can't beat them. Teaching terms with bingo games, get them having a bit of fun. Memory card games, okay, there's lots of things you could do there. The art activities, which is the drawing an image to go with the actual music term, and then also keeping a music term digital diary or a written one. It's up to you how you want to do it. Again, I like to give you options because I know personally I haven't always had an option of what I could do in my classroom in terms of technology, because didn't always have access to it, even in this day and age. And I'm talking, I only got computers in my laptops in my own music classroom 2 years ago. Do you want some more ideas on how to make music classes more interesting and fun for your students? Try these 5 ways to make over your music curriculum download. It's there, juliajulia.com/makeover your music curriculum. As I said, gives you some nice fresh ideas on ways that you can vamp up or revamp your own music curriculum. I'm literally going through that process at the moment because I want to revamp everything I'm teaching for next year. If you'd like another free resource, especially about the elements of music. Now, I didn't talk about this in this particular video, but the elements of music mind maps, which all go with every single thing, blog post on my website, all about the 8 elements of music. They are another fantastic tool for teaching music terms. Really good. If you want to know more, you can obviously find more about the elements of music over on my website, which is juliadew.com. And if you'd like to purchase any of these resources, pop on over to my Teachers Pay Teachers store, Julia Teaching Resources. And thank you so much for watching. So I hope I gave you lots of ideas on how you could actually use music or teach music terminology in your own music classroom. As I said, I know I bang on about it a fair bit, but it really does make a difference. Once your kids have a good understanding, a solid understanding of music terminology, it improves them as a musician, as a composer, at least in their listening, everything in terms of music. Once they have that solid foundation, I don't care how good a drummer they are or how good a guitarist they are, unless they've actually got a really solid foundation of music terminology, they're not going to be able to communicate their musical ideas to other people. Alrighty, mind you, when I say that, I've got a former colleague who's a drummer and saxophonist, and the way she talks rhythm with her hands, as she's pretending it's a drum solo and she gives the sound. I get that. It's not necessarily music terminology, but I get it. It's drum speak, I'll call it. So, there are other ways. We know that. But I know for sure that my kids personally, the kids I've taught for years, and I said it's been over 20 years, it's been a long time. The kids who have a really solid grasp of music terminology are the ones who do well. Okay, not only in my classroom, but beyond my classroom as well. So until next time, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and happy teaching. Bye.